Welcome to Python beginner tutorials, or we can say YouTube series. So you are able to see a handwritten notes over here. So if you see, this is my Instagram profile. So where I released lot of handwritten notes on Python, MySQL and all that. And lot of my Instagram people are keep on asking me, Kant, why can't you create a video series on Python with respect to handwritten notes? So even I will be giving this handwritten notes for you to download it. You can download this handwritten notes and let me explain. So today going to be our first Python class related to for the beginners. So if there are any new beginners, so you can see there is a lot of videos on Python in YouTube everywhere. So they're going to be still there are new people who are new with Python who are planning to learn it. So like if you are the audience, I am saying hi to everyone. So now let's get into this. So now what is Python? So before we are starting with Python, let's understand what exactly, you can see this, what Python is a popular programming language. You can say Python is a programming language. What exactly meant by programming language? There are two types of programming languages, or we can say one thing. One is programming language and another one going to be your scripting language. Scripting language. So now let's first understand about what is a programming language. So what is the purpose of a program? So let's take a very simple example. Now take any of our applications which are available. Take an Instagram or take a WhatsApp or take your Facebook, whatever you are trying to take it. The purpose of any of these websites, or even you can take a software. Let's take a Word is a software. So you can use your Microsoft Word. What you are doing, you are trying to tell your program to perform a task. So now what is the purpose of any of these programming languages is to perform a task. So now what exactly the purpose of any of these programming languages? So to perform a specific task. So in order to perform a task, so how you are trying to tell to your computer with the help of programming language. So you are trying to tell to your computer, hey, you want to perform this task. What is the task you want to perform? You want to take A and you want to take B and you want to add them. So now you are saying you want to perform A plus B operation. You are telling to your computer. So how you can tell to your computer? For example, if it is me, I can say, hey man, try to perform this A plus B operation or try to add these two values. But if it is a computer, I want to use a programming language or I need to use a scripting language. So now what exactly meant by a programming language and what exactly meant by scripting languages? There is a saying. So all scripting languages can be called as programming languages, but all programming languages cannot be called as a scripting language. So don't feel worried. I think it's not a tongue twister. So all scripting languages can be called as a programming language, but all programming languages may not fall under a scripting language. So what is a scripting languages? So now basically let's understand. So first we can take a programming language. So one such example is take C programming or C++, whatever it is. So now whenever you are taking this C programming, whenever I say C programming, majority of the people going to be, oh my God, it's C. So even I'm also from mechanical, and even when I'm start learning the C programming, I'm more like, I can't understand. So slowly in my BEPEC, I started to learn it, and once I got into data science, I started learning Python. So now whenever you are trying to learn programming language, take a C programming. So whatever the code you have written in the C program, so in order to make your computer to understand it, what exactly you need to do is, you need to write the code in C programming, then you need to pass it to the compiler. So it goes into your compiler, and then it's going to be executed. So these are the three steps which we have it. You write a program. So in your scripting, like taking any of your code, like a VS Code or whatever it is, and you try to save it, and then you compile it, and then you start executing it. So there are three-step process. That's what a programming language is doing. So there are various differences, but I'm going in a simple way. Now, whenever you take a scripting language, so in order to compile the code, you don't need to save it, you don't need to use a compiler. Directly, straightforward, you can run the code. So that is the benefit we are able to get it through the scripting language. And comparatively, again, when in lines of speed of the program execution, so programming language is going to be quick, and whereas scripting languages going to be a bit slow. The reason why people say programming languages are quick, and the scripting languages are a bit slow is, for example, now whatever the code you are written in the programming language, now you are trying to convert that into a machine code. That's what we are doing in the compiler. So what are all the code you written it, you are trying to translate it into a machine code, so it's already translated in the machine code, so your program can understand it. Now whereas in the scripting language, every time when you write a new code, it need to translate it into machine code and it need to perform it. For that reason, it is a bit slow, whereas this programming language is going to be quick. But you don't need to save, like you don't need to perform a compiling operation in your scripting languages. If you take an example like Python, you don't need to use a compiler in order to perform a hello world operation. So now how you write down a hello world operation in Python, it is very simple and very straightforward. Why? You don't have any sort of compilation need to be performed. So directly you can write a code and you are able to see the output. So that is the basic difference between a scripting language and a programming language. If you want to know more about it, you can refer to what is a scripting language and a programming language. Now, Python is a popular programming language. As I said, so Python falls under a scripting language as well as it falls into a programming language. Why? So Python, all programming languages may not be scripting, but all scripting languages can be called as programming. So now Python going to be a popular programming language. It was created by Guido van Rossum. So now and released in 1991. So now they released this Python in 1991 and it's been popular. We can say there are a lot of websites, there are a lot of things which been developed with the help of Python. So now let's see, it is used for web development. What is meant by web development? Software development, mathematics, and we are able to perform system scripting. Let's understand what is meant by web development. So web development can be called as, you are able to see Netflix. So it is there in a web like www.netflix.com, or you can take something like youtube.com. So now if you are able to open it on a web, we call it as website, or people who develop websites, we are able to call it as web development. And the next one is software development. So we are able to install various softwares in our system and we can use it. So I can install a software in order to cut an image. I can install a software in order to write down some notes. So in this way, I can install various softwares. Even if you see, I got a software here in order to write down the notes, while I'm explaining. So now in order to create this kind of softwares, even we can use Python as a development tool. So now as a programming tool. And again, we can use Python in order to perform mathematical operations. And apart from that, again, we are able to perform scripting. As I said, this Python is a scripting language, so we can use it for our system scripting. So these are our uses with respect to Python. So people who are learning nowadays Python, majority of the people are falling under the category of mathematics. So they want to use Python in order to perform mathematical operations. So they want to perform data analysis operations. They want to identify the mean values. They want to perform some mathematics with the help of machine learning. For all that operations, this particular segment is needed. And people are using Python in order to perform testing. There are a lot of people who are being a test engineers. They want to get into manual testing or automation testing and all that. Even for that, they are learning Python in order to perform those operations. Why? We can use Python for the sake of web development and the software development. So you can use Python for the sake of testing. And again, what can Python do? So Python can be used on a server to create web applications. As I said, we can use it for web application development. So Python can be used alongside software to create workflows, software development. Python can connect to database systems. It can also read and modify files. Means like you can connect to your MySQL and you are able to read the data from MySQL and you are able to modify those files. So like whenever you are developing a website, it's not just about developing with Python. Even you want to integrate it with a database, even we can perform these operations. And Python can be used to handle big data and perform complex mathematical operations. Now we all know like data science is booming everywhere. So now big data is booming, data engineering is booming. So now we are able to handle a big data in Python. And even we are able to perform complex mathematical operations with the help of our Python programming. So now again, if there are any data science learners, so basically they are learning using Python for this particular operations to perform complex mathematical operations they are doing. So people learn Python where they need to use or they need to learn Flask or Django and all that. For example, if you are trying to learn Python, so and you are trying to be a web developer, basically you will be learning this web development frameworks. So there are libraries in Python. We will be having a dedicated class on what are all meant by a library and all that in the future. Basically, if you want to get into Python, if you want to learn it for web development, I'm writing it as WD, you basically target on Flask, you target on Django libraries. And if your goal is getting into data science operations, you will be learning important things within Python related to your pandas. You learn NumPy. You will be learning scikit-learn, and you will be learning TensorFlow. You will be learning matplotlib. This is for visualizations, etc. So now this is going to be into for your data science. In this way, in order to use your Python, it is very simple. Means like I can say pandas, NumPy is more like, for example, I want to perform social media operations. I'll be using Instagram, Facebook, Telegram, or LinkedIn, or whatever it is. So in this way, like type of, means based on your operation, you will be using different applications in your phone. In the similar way, you can take Python as your phone. If you want to perform tasks related to web development, you will be using these applications. If your goal is to perform data science, you will be using these applications. As we are progressing with the classes, you will be knowing it. And Python can be used for rapid prototyping or for production ready software development. You can use Python to develop a prototype. So before you are building a final solution or final software, you can build a prototype, a sample representation, so that they can get an idea about how it's going to look like. So based on that base, you come up with the complete picture of it, or a complete full features we are able to develop it. So that is more benefits we are able to see. And why Python? So one more reason, Python works on different platforms. Means you can use Python on Windows, you can use it on Mac, you can use it on Linux, you can use it even on the IoT devices like Raspberry Pi, Arduino, this kind of chips, you can use that Python. It's not only on Windows, Mac, Linux, even you can run it on your IoT devices like Raspberry Pi. And Python has a simple syntax similar to English language. So let me just share you few scripting, how exactly we write down Python code. For example, we all are aware of it. For example, if you want to write down normally a code to say hello world, there is a lot of code. You want to write it in C programming. But if you want to write down hello world in Python, it's very simple. I can just type double quotations, hello. You can give even the space, world, and you can just click on enter. It's a very straightforward. So now I can write this as my input. So you're able to get the output as hello world. If you're able to directly write hello world, and if you click enter on your Python, you're able to get the output as hello world. In case if you are writing input as a plus b, right? Or for example, I want to perform some mathematical operations. So I'm saying like input, I want to say 2 plus 5, and if I click on enter, you're able to get the output, which is like 7. So it is like a straightforward piece of code. If you are able to write down hello world, you get the output hello world. If you are able to write down 2 plus 5 enter, you are able to get 7. Or if you want to say 2 divided by 5, or 2 multiplied by 5, you can perform all the mathematical operations. You can see this. Python has a simple syntax similar to the English language. So however you write down, or it's a straightforward programming language. People who are struggling, so people who gone through Java or people who learned C programming, if they are coming back to Python, they feel it so easy. So now again, if there are any learners who are struggling with Java or C programming, if they come to Python, even they find it so simple. So if there are any non-programmers, you no need to worry about getting or learning Python. It is a very simple programming language and you can master it. So it's more like a game. The more time you spend on Python, the better you are able to get the knowledge. And Python has syntax that allows developers to write programs with fewer lines than some other programming languages. If you notice, so by using Python, you are able to write down the code in a least amount of lines than compared to other programming languages. If you are writing 100 lines in other programming languages, you can write it in 30-40 lines. So in your Python programming. So this is the kind of benefit we have with Python. And Python runs on an interpreter system, meaning that code can be executed as soon as it is written. This means that prototyping can be quick. It comes into again your scripting language versus the programming language. So Python can be treated in a procedural way and object-oriented way or a functional way. So you will be knowing about different ways of your ways of writing down the coding or your programming language. We will be discussing about them in our upcoming lectures. And last, good to know, the most recent major versions of Python is Python 3. Which we shall be using in this tutorial. So we will be using completely Python 3 environment. And again, it is possible to write Python in an integrated development environment like Tony, PyCharm, NetBeans or Eclipse or Jupyter or Google Colab. So even if you don't have Python installed on your system, you can run the Python in a very simple way. Just you can click on this plus icon. You are into the Google, and I just want to open Google Colab. So you can just search in your system Google Colab. So we can say this is Python on cloud, or we can say Python like a Google Drive. So you can just click on Google Colab Python. You're able to see this is by Google. Welcome to Collaboratory. Click on this. So now I want to open a new notebook. I am already signed in with my account. So you need to sign in with your Google account and click on new notebook. That's it. So now this is loading. You can see here it is loading your Google Colab. So now here you can see it loaded. Now if you want to write down a code, I want to perform hello world. So I can just type hello and I want to type hello world and I just want to give, it's already hello world, and I want to enter. In order to enter it, you can just click on this play icon. If you click on that play icon, it is just loading hello world. So it is connecting first. Only the first time it is going to take time. It is connecting. It is initializing. It's connected. So now if you are able to see, there is a specific disk space. If you click on, yeah, it is having a RAM of 12 GB and the disk space going to be my Google Drive space. So now you are able to see the output hello world. I want to write down a new code. I want to say 2 plus 5. For example, I can just go here 2 and I want to add the values. So 2 plus 5. So click enter. So now you're able to get an output like 7. So it is straightforward and you no need to have a Python installed on your system. Directly you can open Google Colab and you can start writing your piece of code. So now on our next class, I will be showcasing you how to install Python in our system and how to start using Python. Before we are learning Python, we need to understand the basic terminologies in the Python programming language like data types or values. What are the different types of values we have? What is meant by a variable? What is meant by a function? What is meant by a library? So now we need to start from there. So before installing, we will be learning about these topics and then we install our Python in our system. See you on our next lecture, and in case if you want to subscribe, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.